Life was as predictable as a routine dental checkup until today. My name's Jenny, your average tooth fairy who trades in molars for money, except that I work with state-of-the-art equipment in a swanky downtown clinic. My husband, Mark, is pretty much the academic type, graying at the temples and all. He lectured in the halls I once roamed as a student, though we never swapped anything more than a hello back then. It was only after my cap and gown were tucked away that we started sharing dinners, and before you knew it, vows. You could say we lived a standard, married with no kids, just a couple of lazy goldfish life. Until today. Exhausted, slipping out of my work shoes, I saw them, divorce papers, as stark and chilling as an extracted wisdom tooth, lying beside a note on a coffee table that had seen better days, his handwriting, no doubt. Grimacing, I picked up the note. His words punched me in the gut harder than any root canal ever would. Jenny, I'm tired. Tired of the humdrum, of papers, of people. I need silence, not the kind we got on Sunday mornings, but the deep kind that you only find away from civilization. Consider this my path to becoming a nobody, to finding some darn peace. Mark. My hands trembled, the note nearly crumpling in my grip. No dramatic outburst, shocked as that to you. I uncapped one of the pens that was always scattered around and scribbled on the back of some grocery receipt, the only paper in immediate reach, then dialed Mark, heart drumming a harsh beat against my ribs. The line clicked, and after what seemed like a year, his familiar, now distant voice answered. Jenny? Mark. What's this about becoming a nobody, huh? You dumping our years together like last week's trash? Jenny, you're not getting it. I can't. I don't want to. It's not you, it's... Cut the crap, Mark. You leave a note? Papers? Just like that? My voice rose as I gripped the phone like it was a lifeline. Where are you? There was a pause, a silence that spoke volumes. Somewhere you can't find me. Somewhere I can be alone. Alone? And what am I supposed to do, huh? Just sit tight and smile while you play hermit? Jenny, please. No, you listen. You can't just decide you're bored and... Bored isn't the word, Jenny. I need something else, something different. What? Silence? You want silence, by earplugs. But you don't just get to check out. I spat the words out as if they were sour. Jenny, please try to understand. Oh, I understand, all right. Understood loud and clear, Professor. You've made your point. Enjoy your bloody peace then. The line went dead with a finality that echoed in the now too quiet room. The note lay there, staring up at me with its life-altering news, and I was left to figure out if I was to press on with the painful extraction of Mark from my life or root around in the mess for a sliver of hope. It seemed I had more than just teeth to pull. The clinic reeked of strong antiseptic. Where it used to put me at ease, now, it just stirred the pot of my mind, brimming with gossip. Mark, my ex, gone puff, just like that. And the fact that everyone wouldn't shut up about it was getting under my skin. The phone was buzzing again. It never eased up. I knew without looking it was more of the same nosy folks prying for details. Sam's Dental, how may I help you? I answered, using the clinic's name to avoid personal questions. Hey, it's Lizzie from math department. We heard about Mark. You holding up okay? I sighed. Yeah, Lizzie, I'm doing my job. Anything else? I mean, it's just weird, right? Mark's such an urban guy. She pried, digging for dirt. It's his choice, I snapped, a bit more sharply than intended. Sorry, it's just been a rough day. I could almost hear her shrug through the phone. Sure, just checking in. You know how it is here, we're all a bit nosy. The clinic was quieter than usual. I could almost hear the whispers bleeding through the walls. Patients eyed me with a mix of pity and morbid curiosity as I walked through the hall. I needed a break from the staring and the rumors. I found myself in the staff room with Rosa, the receptionist, who was always blunt as a spoon. She was digging through her locker, the metal door screeching like nails on a chalkboard. "So, he left you the papers then disappeared, huh?" Rosa didn't mince her words. "That's about the size of it," I muttered, pouring myself a coffee. She leaned against the lockers, arching an eyebrow. "You sign 'em?" "Yeah." "Savage." Rosa shook her head. "Man's got style, give him that." I couldn't help but laugh. Leave it to Rosa to call a disappearing act stylish. Back in my office, the nice and tidy one with diplomas on the wall, the phone rang again. It was the one face I didn't mind showing up in my caller ID, Angela, the closest thing I'd had to a sister since forever. "Girl, how you just gonna let him punk you like that? No hello, no how are you, just Angela in all her glory." "He didn't punk me, Ange. I signed the papers, that was my choice." "And you just gonna roll over and play dead?" "There's nothing to fight for. I'm done and dusted with him." There was a pause. I knew Angela's wheels were turning. "Fine," she said. "But this isn't gonna fly. We're going out tonight. You need to blow off some steam, or you'll go nuts." I wanted to argue, but she wasn't wrong. Besides, it beat listening to the whispers and rumors that looped like a bad soundtrack in my mind. The hours ticked by, filled with teeth cleaning and dodging personal questions. By the time my last patient left, I was ready to peel out of there like a bat out of hell. Angela was waiting for me at the local dive, the kind of place where the beer was cold, and no one gave two hoots about your personal drama. I walked in and spotted her straight away, waving enthusiastically. "What's kicking, chicken?" she greeted me, sliding over a glass of something strong. "Hey, Ange. Just the usual circus." I gulped down the drink, welcoming the burn. We talked, or rather, she talked, and I tried to forget. It worked, mostly. The clink of glasses and Angela's hearty laughter were a good combo. It was late when we said our goodbyes, just outside the bar. The night was dark, the wind was cold, and once inside my car, I realized something. I felt lighter. Like dropping off a heavy suitcase I'd been lugging around. The years had rolled by like series of silent movie frames. That old bitterness about Mark, it was more or less a faint echo these days. I mean, life had to move on, right? I shifted gears somewhere along the line, and now, well, now things were steady. You could say I was living the quiet life, except for the occasional siren wail, thanks to my new husband, Tom, the cop. Tom was good people. A chuckle in a uniform, you might say. He had this knack, you know, for turning a crappy day around with just a smirk and a joke that was so bad it circled back to being good. Then there was Joey, our little typhoon in toddler form. 3 years old and already the boss of the household. If joy came in human form, it was him, no contest. One pretty normal Tuesday, I was in the kitchen, fighting with the wrapper of a macaroni box. That's when Tom ambled in, his uniform looking like it had seen better days. He planted a kiss on my cheek, still sparking a little zing even after all these years, and ruffled Joey's hair. "Hey, bud, how was your day with Mom?" he asked Joey, who was smashing a toy truck into the linoleum. Joey's answer was a happy shriek and more enthusiastic truck smashing. "I'm starting to think he's going to follow in your footsteps," I said, finally getting the box open and emptying it into the simmering water. Tom's beeper suddenly blared, ruining the moment. He checked it and grimaced. "Looks like the station needs me. Some brawl at the bar downtown." "Geez, Tom. Stay safe, will you?" "Always," he said, standing up, but with Joey still clinging to him. He handed our son back to me. "Gotta run. I'll try not to wake you too when I come back." After he left, it was just Joey and me and the hum of the refrigerator. Joey babbled something about Dada, and I couldn't help but feel a twang in my chest. Sure, I had Tom and Joey, a solid job, a roof over my head. But sometimes, when Tom's cruiser pulled out of the driveway, or when Joey's laughter filled a room, I'd remember I once had a different life, a different partner in the dance. Come on, champ, I told Joey. Let's tackle that mountain of blocks like we're the king and queen of the castle. And as I built flimsy towers for Joey to knock over, laughing all the while, I realized I'd turned over more than just a new leaf. I'd started a whole new chapter. And you know what? It looked pretty damn good from where I was sitting. As the flat screen on the wall spat out images with quiet contempt, there was Mark, my ex, hunched over on a patch of green. The grass was probably crumpled under him, matching his wrinkled linen shirt. I hadn't seen him in years, not since he traded our life for silence and dirt paths. Those journalists were eyeing him like he was a prize pig at the fair, each waiting for their turn. Mark fiddled with strands of his wild beard as he leaned into the microphone. His voice, still with that calm know-it-all tone, itched in my ears. Yeah, that's right, he was saying. I had to leave because of her. She's got this heart, steeled over, you know? Cold. And cheating? She was a regular at that game. Took my piece, she did. That's why you find me here, away from all that mess. The air in the dental clinic was colder than usual, or maybe it was just my mood darkening everything around me since that darned news report aired. I slammed my locker shut, trying to shove away the clutter of whispers and side glances that had infested the office like bad breath. It wasn't just the sterile smell of mint and disinfectant lingering, it was the stench of gossip. Thanks to my ex, Mark, I was the new plaque everyone wanted to scrape off. Hey, you done early? Gina, one of the hygienists, leaned against the door frame, balancing a stack of patient folders. Her tone was casual, but her eyes were skirting around mine, wary. Too wary. Yeah, I grunted, collecting my stuff. Need to clear my head. This place is looking kinda stuffy. She snorted, a crude sound that was music to my irritated ears. Looks the same to me. Though, you could cut the tension with dental floss. I offered a half smile, but didn't meet her eyes. Maybe some people got cavities in their personalities, I replied, voice tight. As I walked out, I couldn't shake off the prying eyes. Reaching my car, I spotted Tom waiting for me, arms crossed, leant on the hood. His usual sunny exterior was clouded over. How's it going, Jenny? He asked as I approached, trying to light up the dimming day. Like a root canal gone wrong, I replied, my keys jingled with a shake of my hand. Tom pushed himself off the car. You know what I think? Screw him. He's talking crap. That's one word for it, I said, opening the car door. Tom detoured it, his stance stubborn. We shouldn't let this nonsense get between us. You've got me, Joey, and Angela. It's their problem if they believe that liar. The sincerity in his voice was a soothing balm, but I was too riled up to take it in fully. Sure, but try telling that to the Hyena Club in there. He grabbed my hand, his grip firm. Listen, let's grab Joey, hit the pizza place, and just chill. All right? I took a breath, absorbing the offer. You always know how to patch things up, cop hubby, I said with a tired smile. And don't forget it. He flashed a grin, the kind that could make a dentist proud. But before we could continue, a call cut through our bubble. Mommy. Joey came sprinting across the parking lot, his babysitter trailing behind. The little guy wrapped around my legs, a toddler tornado. Hey champ, I said, lifting him up. You ready for some pizza? Pizza, pizza, Joey chanted, any worry about the day's drama lost in his innocent cheer. I glanced back at the clinic once Joey and Tom were settled in the car, a cold laugh escaping me. To hell with them. Let's go have some real family time. Tom revved the engine, a mischievous spark lighting his eyes. No looking back, babe, that's the rule. Got it, boss? I said, and as we drove off, Joey's giggles, the only sound I cared about, I felt the heaviness shed bit by bit. It was just another crappy chapter in the novel of life, one that I'd darn well write myself. No ex-husband was going to taint my reflection, not anymore. I was still reeling from another day's work when she cornered me. Jasmine, the new intern, was kind of edgy since the day she stumbled in, but today, she was all jittery. So there I was, peeling off my gloves, and she comes up real close, smelling like antiseptic and fear. "Doc, I gotta talk to you," Jasmine said, her voice as shaky as a beaten-up washing machine. "What's up?" I was already thinking about the pile of paperwork waiting to claw at my evening. "It's about Mark. I heard the other nurses saying you were married to that guy." Her eyes darted around the room as if afraid the walls would grow ears. "Yeah, what about him?" I tossed the gloves and reached for my coffee, gone cold hours ago. "I was a student when he was teaching. He wasn't just giving lectures, if you know what I mean." Her voice took a dive, like someone had yanked the volume down. "He did stuff. Bad stuff." I felt something raw and bitter twist in my gut. "Stuff?" I asked, hoping for some vague rumor I could dismiss. He was handsy, you know, with me. And with others. We were just a bunch of scared kids, and he liked that power." Jasmine spat the words out like they were poison. My grip on the mug tightened. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I saw him on TV, acting all holy and repentant. I couldn't stomach it. I threatened to expose him, and then he vanished." "That coward," I hissed. The mug in my hand cracked, coffee seeping through the spiderweb crevices, to drip onto the floor. "He told everyone he left 'cause of you and some grand spiritual quest. But that's bull. He fled 'cause I had proof of what he did. The texts, the creepy late-night calls." "That's a big claim, Jasmine," I managed to say, my throat dry as sawdust. "You got any of that proof on you?" "Yep," she said, a grim satisfaction in her tone. She hauled out her phone, a cheap thing with a cracked screen, and flicked through messages until she shoved it under my nose. There it was, in black and white. A whole sordid history laid out in texts and emails. I read, every word a punch in the gut. When I was done, I looked up. "I'm sorry, for what it's worth. Thank you for coming forward." "We gonna do something about it?" she asked, tough as nails now. "Absolutely," I said, feeling a flame of anger kindling inside me. And as we plotted revenge on the man I once called a husband, the man who had fooled us all, I felt a grim kind of satisfaction. This was going to be messy, but hell, it was about time some dirt got cleaned up around here. I stood there in the clearing, staring at the man I once called my husband. There he was, Professor Mark, looking every bit the wilderness prophet with a graying beard and a flock of adoring followers. His eyes flashed over me, a brief flash of recognition, before his face settled into that infuriating calm. "Jenny? What the hell are you doing here?" His voice had that familiar sharp edge. "Just wanted a chat, Mark. A cozy catch-up between exes. Never thought I'd find you playing guru," I said, squinting at the half-naked followers prancing around. He crossed his arms, a smirk playing on his lips. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" I cut to the chase. "That trash talk on TV, really, Mark? Cruel and unfaithful. You sure have a way with fiction." He shrugged, the same old nonchalant shrug that drove me up the wall. "Needed a story, didn't I? Playing the victim pays the bills." I couldn't help but laugh, bitter and sharp. "And here I thought you ran off to find inner peace." His audience looked on, starving for some drama. He was unfazed. "Gotta give the people what they want." "Yeah, but at my expense?" I felt that familiar anger bubbling. "And there's another thing, about Jasmine." His face lost color for a second, but then he barked out a laugh. "Jasmine? That kid had nothing on me." His nerve was something else. Without breaking eye contact, I slid out my phone. Actually, she did. He squinted at the screen as I flicked through the messages Jasmine had sent me. Threats, creepy come-ons, the whole 9 yards. Mark tried to grab the phone out of my hands, but then Tom appeared next to me. The message of protection couldn't have been clearer if he was wearing a flashing sign. It made me feel safe and furious all at once that I needed it. "Look, everyone," Mark's voice broke through the silence, all smooth and soothing like one of those late-night radio hosts. "This is all a big misunderstanding, all right? My ex here, she's got it in for me, that's all this is." I could feel my jaw clench at his words, but I kept my cool. I wasn't about to let him get to me. Not this time. Tom's voice, gravel mixed with thunder, growled next to me. "Cut the crap, Mark. We all know what you did. And it's all coming out today." Mark's followers looked from him to me and back again, like they were watching a tennis match. Just then, the wail of the sirens cut through Mark's phony serenity like a chainsaw through butter. His face drained of color, which on him looked almost impressive. "Please," Mark was kneeling now, the guru luster gone, replaced by sweaty desperation. "You can't do this. Think of my reputation." Tom snorted, stepping closer to Mark so that the kneeling man had to crane his neck just to keep eye contact. "Reputation? What about the lies about Jenny? What about all those messages, huh? What about Jasmine's story? You think that doesn't count for nothing? The game's up, buddy." Mark looked up at us, his eyes flicking from my snarl to Tom's stony glare, and then to the uniformed officers coming up behind us. There was a moment, a single moment, where he looked like he might run. But Mark didn't run. He just sat there on his knees, looking up. Looking like he knew that the tides had indeed turned. The followers were mumbling among themselves now, backing away from their fallen idol, their murmurs building like waves before a storm. Then, one of the cops stepped forward, flipping open a notebook. "Are you Professor Mark Thompson?" he asked, his tone neutral. Mark just nodded, his voice squeaking like a rusty hinge. "Yes, sir." The officer glanced at me, then at Tom. "We're going to need to take him in," he said, as if asking for permission. Tom just gave a short nod, and I felt my heart kick up a notch. This was it. Mark shot one last desperate look at his disciples. "I'm being set up," he yelled, hoping for sympathy, salvation. But seeing the truth staring back at him from the scattered glances of the crowd was the nail in the coffin of any sympathy he hoped for. The cop cuffed him with all the flair of someone clocking in for a routine shift. "Mark Thompson, you are under arrest." The clink of the cuffs was like the sweetest music, and that's when I knew, for sure. The tides hadn't just turned, they'd flipped, completely. Tom wrapped his arm around me as we watched Mark being led away. The scene felt almost surreal. I turned to Tom, and his nod told me everything. We were on the same team, and we were strong. I was standing outside and breathing in the fresh air. The phone in my pocket started its own dance, buzzing with incoming calls, no doubt apologies and awkward backtracking. I had no interest in their sorry words. "I told you so" wasn't my style. The door to the clinic swung open, and Jasmine walked out. "Hey, Doc," she said, with a grin that seemed out of place, but right for someone who'd just shrugged off a weight they'd been dragging around. "Is it true? They got him?" "Yep," I said, feeling a sharp sense of satisfaction at her smile. "It's true." "Good. It's about damn time," she said, her voice firm. I could hear some of my own resolve echoed in her tone. Jasmine had courage, coming forward, speaking out. "It's not easy, facing ghosts." "He won't be seeing the outside of a jail cell for a long while," Tom said. "Good riddance," she shot back, no hint of sympathy for my ex-husband. I couldn't help smiling at her spunk. "You did good," I said. "Really good." Tom's radio crackled with police chatter, but he ignored it, his attention on today's victory. "You gonna celebrate?" Jasmine asked. Her shift was obviously over, and she was all but bouncing on her heels, ready to let relief transition into something warmer, more joyful. "Mom's got Joey," I answered. "So, yeah, we'll celebrate. quietly. Jasmine nodded, then left, her steps light. "Let's go home, Tom," I said after a moment. "Let's go be with our son." "Nothing I'd rather do," he agreed, and we turned away, my hand finding his, strength in our combined grip, ready to face whatever came next, together.